Ever since joining Sea Indonesia, I've come to really enjoy the outdoors. I would constantly ask my producers about where to go next, what adventure lies ahead, and I think they became more confident about throwing me into the deep end. How do I know this? Because on this episode, they sent me to do something a little extreme. They sent me to go canyoning. Sorry, Mom.
See the thrills only on Sea Indonesia.
Sea Indonesia.
As with any adventure in Sentul, our starting point for this canyoning adventure was just a hike away, at the massive Tibingbin Waterfall. And our guide had to make sure that we were ready. He guided us to stretch our muscles a little bit to prepare us for what's ahead. Right, there's a 30-minute hike coming up before we get to the place where we're gonna do some canyoning near the waterfalls. After the 30-minute hike, there's gonna be a post where we're gonna put our stuff and we're gonna get ready and start canyoning. Looking forward to everything. Let's go. Unlike the last hike, you can see down here there are like proper stone paths because there are quite a few villages here. With that said, it definitely was no less beautiful. Look at that. Look at that view. Eventually, we found ourselves out of the sunlight and into the shades. Now, if you don't know, Bogor is a substantial producer of coffee, having produced 4,000 tons of Robusta and 473 tons of Arabica in 2021. And on our trek, we found a place where some of this coffee came from. We seem to have found ourselves in a coffee plantation here. They're not sure how big it is. I think it could be around maybe 50 to 100 hectares. And it's managed entirely by the local community, so wow, I think that's amazing. I really wish I could try some of the coffee that's being harvested here. I'm really curious to see how it tastes. Maybe they might have some at the waterfall, who knows? Luckily, the waterfall was not far ahead, and soon we reached our starting point. This is the Tibingbin Waterfall, a 22-meter fierce, intimidating force of nature that would be my first ever canyoning obstacle. And with canyoning being a relatively dangerous sport, I felt it would be best to become acquainted with the proper kit. Luckily, our tour thought the same and they presented a short tutorial on all the tools needed to climb.
But first we're gonna do a bit of a practice here because I've never done canyoning before, and it's not that easy of a sport to do, as it turns out. Let's see.
With that being said, I got to grips with it pretty quickly.
Practice is over, and it's time to climb the real thing now.
So it didn't take long before I finally began my ascent. And boy, what a challenge it was. With the adrenaline pumping through my body, I had the energy of a rampant rabbit. And a few minutes after beginning, I completed my first ascent. And what an amazing feeling it was.
Ah! Don't know if you can hear me, but we just over there. We scaled that.
Shortly after, I ascended again.
I feel so alive. Oh my god.
And with the first climb over, it was time for a short break. And the boys from the tour provided us with a little surprise. A surprise that granted my wish.
Oh, that's really good coffee. Ini kopi mana, Mas?
Kopi Bogor, khas Bogor.
Kopi khas Bogor ya?
Liong.
Yo, this is genuine Bogor coffee and it tastes amazing. It might have even come from the plantation that we passed through to get here, so wow, it tastes really good. It is tradition over here, by the way. If you're canyoning, every stop you take, you get a bit of coffee. Oh man, it's delicious. That's sublime, absolutely sublime.
After I finished my coffee, we began to go deeper into the ravine. And being surrounded by nature, I began to ponder.
You know, every time I'm in here, I always just feel this need to just consider the effects that humanity, our actions are impacting, you know, nature, and how that in turn affects us, and how important it is that we conserve this place, you know? It's really important for us to survive, especially. Let's keep going.
Eventually, after a little bit more scrambling, we reached the second stop of our adventure, and the boys gave me yet another surprise. This time, we were at the Waterfall, and I would be ziplining down. Though only half as tall as Bin at 11 meters, it was nevertheless a jarring sight to behold. But to me, this adventure was so much more than canyoning and ziplining down the waterfalls.
This is true nature at one of its finest anyway. And it's a hell of an adventure so far. Goodness me. And it's gonna get even better after this, once we do a little fly downwards. Let's see if they're ready.
They were. And so, it was time to make my first descent.
You know what? The descent wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be. Wow. That was nice. Really, really nice.
But, as it turned out, that wasn't the last descent I had to make, because we had to go down the same way we went up. This was the biggest physical challenge I have ever faced. Anything could go wrong here. From my hands and feet slipping, to the rope not holding, to being overwhelmed by the gallons and gallons of water falling over me. Until finally, I had landed. And just after landing, I freshened up by taking another dip into the cool, pure mountain water.
I have so much adrenaline right now. All I want to do is just to climb it up again. Wow.
Unfortunately for me, we had to leave. Eventually, we reached our overnight destination.
Okay, not gonna lie, the canyoning, the trekking through the river, everything, whew, that took up a lot more energy than I thought it would. But this is a very nice little tent, so I think we're gonna get some really, really nice sleep here. And they really provided us with some of these nice little mattresses as well. Very kind of them. Whoever they are, you'll only find out in the morning, so I guess you'll have to wait, because I am exhausted and I really, really, really need to go to sleep.
On your right.
Oh yeah. You can't tell at all, can you, that this is the first time I've ever had to deal with a tent. Here we go. Okay. Good night. Come on. Good night.
See the beauty? Only on Indonesia.
Good morning. Quite a nice day out today. God. Let's take a look around, shall we?
That night, we stayed at the KM0 Resort, a restaurant, camping ground, and outbound area only 20 minutes south of the Tibingbin Waterfall.
I cannot get over how beautiful the view is. Anyway, if you look behind, this is a tent, quite similar to the tent that we stayed in earlier. So if you do want to stay here, all of the accommodation available are tents, and each tent can fit up to 4 people. Now you can choose between having a tent that's on a deck, like this one over here, or having a tent that's on the ground. And I think for the tent on the ground, it's 550,000 rupiah per night, and it's 650,000 rupiah per night if you're going to sleep on a tent on a deck. Now I've looked around, and there are actually more spaces for, if not the same amount of spaces, of tents on decks, as well as there are tents on the ground. Other than that, we also have some glamping tents here as well, you know, glamorous camping. They kind of look more like tiny little huts made of wood, bamboo, quite similar to the arrangement that we see over here around in the roof and on the walls as well, all made of bamboo. Now, this place is usually where companies or families or just big groups of friends can hold a retreat and just experience the camping life, while having also some basic simple amenities that you might not actually get while actually camping somewhere within a forest or a jungle, for example. So obviously, like I mentioned earlier, water, plugs, some other things, basic important amenities as well, toilets, as I'll show you later. In total, I think there are about 12 or 13 of these tents, both on deck and on the ground too, which means that with each tent being able to hold 4 people, you would be able to have perhaps around 48, maybe 52 guests within your party to host for this retreat. Now, the great thing about this deck in particular is that you have these stairs down here that lead straight into the field where you can do multiple activities, and obviously this amazing, beautiful view as well. You see we have some goalposts over there where people can use to play football or any other kind of football-esque sports. And over there we also have an archery range as well as a shooting range. With the shooting range, however, you do use a paintball gun instead of an actual gun, because that would be really, really dangerous. So a paintball gun does instead. And down there, if you follow me, there's also a place to play paintball.
They also have a restaurant in which a band plays live music every Monday to Friday between 1 and 5 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays at 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And speaking of restaurants...
Now included in the package for your stay is breakfast. Very, very important. In fact, the most important meal of the day, as they say. And every breakfast that we get here are fried rice, nasi goreng. So I'm really hungry. I think I'm gonna eat now.
After the meal, I went to enjoy the view, and just when I did, I remembered something.
You know what? There's one more activity that we haven't done yet. And you might say that it's a little bit loud. Let's give it a look.
Indonesia.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of Exploring Sentul. Today, I wanted to find something that came from Sentul, a local product that drives the local community.
In the same way as the rivers, the waterfalls, the streams, the hills of Sentul have become a backbone of the local economy. Take this rock, for example. It might not seem like a particularly special rock, a particularly useful rock. It's just a rock, really. At least to us it is, but to many local communities around here, this rock has become the life and blood of their economy. A tradition that has continued for many, many generations.
I visited one of the crafting sites of the humble modern pestle. While it may not exactly be a Tesla gigafactory, this little site, as many others are, is very special, as it has been a family business for more than 3 generations. In these more modern times, however, they have begun to use modern tools to continue their craft. To make these mortars and pestles, they use a certain type of rock called andesite, a volcanic acidic rock consisting mainly of quartz minerals. This quartz is what creates those fine white speckles found on the mortar and pestle you might have in your own home. This type of rock is used for its ability to withstand crushing movements, for its texture, as well as for its ease of manufacturing. So now you might be wondering, how exactly do they manufacture it?
Proses pembuatan cobek ini pertama awalnya dari batu kayak gini nih. Ini batunya gini, ntar proses kedua itu dibelah di pembelahan itu. Langsung jadinya kayak gitu. Terus kalau itu dibuletin, ntar juga dimasukin ke mesinnya. Ya, ini hasilnya cobek bubut batu asli ini dari desa Bojongkoneng. 1 hari ini dapatnya segini. Alhamdulillah. Kelanjutannya ke bikin ulekannya. Tadi kalau udah beres ulekan baru dicuci, baru naik ke mana yang pesen gitu.
And this is the final result. In actual fact, these craftsmen can create between 40 to 50 mortar and pestle sets each day. Now, time for a test drive.
Welcome to Sea Kitchen by Sea Indonesia, a segment of the show that I've just made up without approval of the producers. Sorry guys. Anyway, today we are going to, for the first time, do a little bit of a crushing of these beautiful chilies and tomatoes for a paste. Now, I've never done this before, and so it's going to be interesting to see how it tastes, but hopefully extremely delicious. No salt, no onions, just pure chili and tomatoes. Let's start. Now viewers, if you are watching and you realize that I'm doing this incorrectly, you would be right. As I've just realized, I haven't added any salt, and oh god. This segment of Sea Kitchen isn't going as well as I planned, but the mortar and pestle works like a dream. And the best part is, once you're done with the mortar and pestle, you don't have to clean it. Well, I mean, you should, but if you choose not to, some of the taste of the previous spices, previous vegetables, previous fruits that you've crushed into the mortar and pestle will remain. And that adds to the taste of your next dish. And this is the finished product. Look at that. Give it a taste.
Anyway, never mind my dreadful cooking. The fact of the matter is, with its beautiful scenery, its vital streams, rivers, and waterfalls, and its humble yet extremely useful handicraft, Sentul truly is a place where you can find all. I cannot wait to return for another visit to find the other things that lie within. Thank you, Sentul. I hope to see you again.